YouTube, it is I, Sir Karma, coming at you with one of my first posts in a long time. Trying to get back into it, taking a little hiatus from the game, trying to get my life in order. But I don't know, I'm enjoying playing again, so we'll see. Maybe this will be the first of many to come, hopefully. I know you guys are frothing at the gash for it. But we'll see, you know, Sir Karma likes to tease. Anyways, let's see. And I like how the little revisions they did with the little timers. It counts up now instead of down. So I chose the Dwarfs, the Mighty Dwarfs, because I relate to them. I actually read somewhere that Tolkien based the Dwarfs on the Jews because they both are short and fat and love money. But they're a hardy folk, and I'll take it. So, yeah, we got the Dwarf Jews against the Français, who are famously anti-Semitic. So it works out, actually, in this particular battle. Over here, what did I bring? Let's get rid of this bastard over here. So I brought a wider build. I figured it would work against Bretonnia. And this is a goodie, guys. It's a goodie, my friends. I will tell you that right off the bat. So we got some Dwarf warriors in the front line here. Especially the map also kind of favored me. I figured. I thought it would, but my opponent outplayed me there. Because I have a line of Dwarf warriors here. Some Longbeards in the back. I have 3 Rangers. 1 cannon, a master engineer, and I wanted to bring him because, first of all, there's a couple things that I thought would be good. I haven't played in a long time, by the way, so I am very unmeta'd, and I'm going to try and make it less competitive focused. We'll talk about that later, and I may do an update video about the channel in the future if I do come back on a more regular basis. In any case, I wanted to bring him for a number of things. First, this the Rune of Slowness. Wow, what a lame name. Not a lot of creativity there. Negative 12% charge, 12% speed, and 8% charge bonus. I figured that would do well to muck up cav charges. Not to mention he has the Fire Ring of Thori, which can send a huge tiered-shaped flame spell across the line of Bretonnians, and most of them don't have armor. In fact, only the Battle Pilgrims really have, the Foot Squires have any armor at all, and that's at only 70 even, so it'll still do good damage against them, so I figured that would be pretty sweet. And then he's got this, which I thought was a passive, so I never should have brought it, because I used it only once the entire game at the very end. So I thought it was a passive, but that was my fault. And this is just to help boost the cannon. And then also, another thing I liked about him, first of all, it is armor piercing, which is pretty nice. And he does armor piercing missile damage, which I figured would do really well with 180 range against cav, to help just kill models so they can't be healed. So that's why I brought him, to give him a little try. Beyond him, I have the Grumbling Guard, the Grumbling Guard, the Longbeard. Sorry guys, it's been a while for me, so the names will be a little off. A couple more Dwarf Warriors in the back, 1 more Longbeard, 1 Giant Slayer, and 1 Dragonback Slayer. And my force is being led by a Rune Lord with Master Rune of Negation and the Master Rune of, what's it called? Rathen Ruin. Rathen Ruin. Alright, meanwhile, my opponent here, and again, he has outplayed me because looking at the map, he brought 3 Trebuchets. Very smart. I only brought the 1 cannon figuring I could outshoot, 2 Trebuchets, but definitely 3. He's going to win that fight. And even if I do sit here and try and outtrade them, he's going to decimate my whole army if I sit there. And I realized that pretty quickly. So he's got those 3 Trebuchets. He's got a couple of Royal Hippogriff Knights, which are, I didn't realize how good they are in this matchup. I mean, you'll see he used them to great effect here to just decimate my army and just be, well, not even decimate them, just be super annoying. Pardon me, and just unable to halt. Meanwhile, I've got a couple of peasant arrows with pox arrows. Makes sense. I mean, they don't have the greatest AP value, but at least they'll lower some of my stats. Meanwhile, we have just a 5 Foot Squires, just a line of Foot Squires. The only thing that really can punch with any sort of effectiveness against my army. He could have brought, of course, cav, but that's very dangerous because of the cannons and other ways I can deal with cav. So that's a pretty cost-effective way to deal with dwarves. And then he has the men-at-arms with shields. And that's the army and a couple peasants there, but yeah, who cares about peasants? And he's being led by his army is being led by, rather, the Floating Fae. So she's unmounted, but she's not quite grounded either. She's in a quasi zone of what's the word I'm looking for? Nah, fuck it. Anyways, what is this? Why can't I see her? Show me her. I can't seem to select her, so I have no idea what spells she has. If I rise up? Yeah, there we go. So she has Regrowth and Earthblood, so just healing spells. But still, she's going to be quite effective on foot because it's going to be hard to kill her because Slayers and all that will not be able to do much damage. In any case, let's get it started. So you see the cannon shots are roaring in. I try and hit these Royal Hippogriff Knights because I knew immediately I wasn't going to be able to kill all 3 of these. So like maybe I can get some early damage. Unfortunately, the first shots are kind of a whiff. And I'm like, alright, we got to rush. So we start moving. I leave initially 1 Longbeard here, and I figured, is that the right move? Because if he sends these guys, the Royal Hippogriff back here, they're just going to destroy me. So I end up swapping out the Longbeards for the Dragonback Slayers, and I figured I'll just leave them there, let them sit, so we can keep that cannon firing. Again, we fired a couple volleys, haven't hit, but we get some good connection there. Do a little bit of damage on these guys, not too much, but every little bit helps. He's got this other force moving in. He's trying to reposition over on this flank. as he was probably expecting me to deploy in this open field over here. Good thing about these guys too is that they're quite spread out. So even as these the damage cron, sure. So even as these field trebuchets do start to fall in, they're not going to do as much damage to them as they would say to these guys. You can see already they were hit. They actually almost took a hit, and they are pretty fine. These guys were very clumped up, so they just took huge damage. The cannon shots are coming in hard and fast. We're trying to do some damage to these guys. Not doing a great job of it. What can you do? So I figured in this battle, I mean, I think I have, I want to say 3 or 4 longbeards. I think 3 longbeards and 1 grumbling guard. And if these foot squires can outtrade my longbeards, I don't really have a lot of answers for them after that. Just the rangers, but even then they can shoot my rangers down because rangers don't have the highest armor. Of course, they do have shield, but still, these pox arrows will do a good job of killing them. But we will be able to outtrade them, of course. Meanwhile, he's got those trebuchets though coming down. They're doing tons and tons of damage, so his army is just a little bit cheaper than mine. A little bit cheaper and a little bit wider. And then he's got 2 elite forces for smashing us when he needs to. We are firing in here with the cannon. That's helping. Another huge part was the Rune of Wrath and Ruin. Can do a lot of damage to these guys, and the negation, which is going to help push that battle in our favor. Of course, he does have the suck-off effect of the Fey Enchantress. We get here a nice little interrupt on his charge, but he actually changes it at the last moment. Very good play by my opponent here. We are shooting down his archers pretty well on both sides. Meanwhile, his Hippogriff Knights are taking some serious damage from the cannon, and the good thing is it's going to be able to fire pretty much its whole load without problem. But here's where the issue really comes in. So the front line's engaging. I get a nice Ring of Thori down there, so he gets decent damage to his whole line, and he gets right in there, gets a nice little charge, disruption, just flies away. Their mass is just way too high, and then I should have brought the Dragon Knight Slayers over here and kept those guys back just for the slowing effect, but you can see they just run away. I have the Engineer firing away at these guys, but he's just not doing that much damage. And he attacks both sides at once, and I only have the 1 Slayer. And he's going to ping-pong back and forth, pretty much disrupting my whole back line, while he continues to fire with the Trebuchets and the Archers. The front line, however, is going in my favor. The Dwarf warriors are naturally beating up on the Dwarf men-at-arms, rather. Over here, the Foot Squires are losing the Grumbling Guard, who will be very, very good. The Fey Enchantress is kicking the ass of these Dwarf warriors, but that's not such a big deal. The Rune Lord's in here. He doesn't really have anything to worry about. Maybe the Foot Squires, but even then they're not that great. They have low EP value. We are still trying to fire in with this Master Engineer. He's going to try and get, again, he's just ping-pong. I don't even know where the other Royal Hippogriff Knight went. Oh, I decided to abandon my cannon at this point because we only have 2 left. We're getting hit, and I see that here that we need another Slayer unit to help with these Royal Hippogriff Knights because they're just causing a terror all up and down the line. This is actually a very scary point in the battle for me because the Hippogriff Knights have hit the Grumbling Guard, which are by far my best armor-piercing unit. They're really my only armor-piercing unit. So with that attack going in there, they're just crushing them. And with them gone, it's going to be very hard to deal with the rallying and remaining Foot Squires. So he gets nice charges in. Of course, he's going to try and run because my Slayers are coming in. We're just trying to muck him up with everything we've got. You can see it just puts right through, and we just got this guy surrounded, but he just walks right in. And I think their mass was increased, and that's a good thing because they used to get caught so easily. So now that their mass is increased, they're actually quite effective here. And they're just ping-ponging back and pretty much shutting down my entire arrow line. Meanwhile, his arrows are back online, and they're starting to fire in. The good thing is we have broken through. The mainline engagement hasn't very much gone in our favor. We've pretty much crushed all the Foot Squires on the right flank. There's a couple here, but the good thing is they're both being held up by this one Longbeard, and they'll fight forever. And I think Longbeards actually beat them, which is, I tested it afterwards, which is quite good for us. So now that we've broken the lines, we're pushing onto these Trebuchets, which have been causing massive damage the entire game. Who thought Trebuchets could be good? Meanwhile, we've only really done damage to 1 Hippogriff Knight, and we haven't even killed a model. So that can be easy healed up by the Fey Enchantress, and you'll see that'll happen multiple times. We do have these guys a little slowed, but they're just going to keep running up and rising, and yeah, the fire rises, guys, and we just can't seem to stop them. Meanwhile, over here, our Longbeards have gotten onto these Field Trebuchets, and these Longbeards have gone to this Field Trebuchet, and these Dwarf Warriors are going to hit this one, and try and route things off the map. The issue is, of course, that these guys are just so much more mobile than I am, so they clean up my cannon, and they're going to fly over, and they're going to deal with all these isolated pockets of infantry. And there's not a whole lot I can do about it. My Slayers are way over here. They're way too far in the back. Sure, I have this decent core of units, but all these guys are very, very much at risk right now. Fey Enchantress is going to come in here and try and help save this Trebuchet with her suck-off effect. And of course, she's not a poor melee combatant. What are her stats? 42 melee defense ain't bad at all. Of course, she doesn't really have that much armor, and then they're getting their melee attack is being. Oh, I didn't know she also negates or debuffs melee attack. Interesting. Anyways, so that does well for her. We're going to send these guys, Dwarf Warriors, away just to chase down some of these guys. There's no point in getting this fight. We're just going to get hurt by the Fey Enchantress. We won't be able to do much damage. Meanwhile, over here, we get a nice charge with the Grumbling Guard. These Royal Hippogriff Knights are just, picking their spots where they can just crush us and just take us down. They've done good damage to pretty much all of our Quarrelers. They're all in, pretty disrepair. Our Master Engineer's firing here, but he's not doing too much damage. These guys have been healed up, and they're almost at their healing cap, which is good. But these guys have all their models. Oh, they've lost a model, so that's quite good for us. That means their healing will be reduced by 1/6, which is good stuff. But, yeah, there's that poor dead birdie. But anyways, yeah, these guys are almost at their healing cap, but they've pretty much gotten full value of that healing, because they haven't lost a model yet. They're just getting nice cycle charges in. Meanwhile, over here, she is crushing these Dwarf Warriors, but that's okay. They're just meant to hold up the Fey Enchantress. And the Rune Lord is pretty sturdy. I'm not too concerned if he's fighting anything. The only thing that can really kill him with any sort of speed is the Royal Hippogriff Knights, but my opponent does not seem to want to charge them on him. I'm not really sure why not, but I mean, they probably could have Goon Squanned him pretty quick. The good thing is he's on foot and not on that chair, so we've been knocked around a bit. But he is casting the Rune of Negation and all these things to help buff my army, but of course it's not going to be enough to withstand these Royal Hippogriff Knights who are just continuously getting healed and buffed, and otherwise just a dangerous unit. Over here, we are trying to run some of them off with the Longbeards that I pulled away from this fight with the Fey Enchantress, and they're going to, you know, they'll be fine against, yeah, these Foot Squires. They'll pretty much kill all these things. Unfortunately, they're taking arrows to the back, but they'll be able to beat all those things without that. The arrows mitigating that effect, so I don't know how that battle will turn out. Well, it's going to turn out really poorly now that the Hippogriffs are in there, so they're just going to basically crush that. Over here, though, you know, we're fortunate enough that we can catch a Field Trebuchet and actually prevent it from firing. We chased off one crew over here with these guys, and we will be reactivating them to chase off these archers at one point. Meanwhile, these arrows are coming back into this little blob. I didn't realize she was not on a horse until now, and I was like, oh, geez, okay, get these Slayers out of here. There's no reason to have them fighting, because they're not going to do that much more damage compared to these Longbeards or Dwarf Warriors, and it's not worth it to get them sucked off or shot by these arrows, the pox arrows. Meanwhile, our gun line, or our arrow line rather, has to a certain degree reformed. We should bring these guys back. I forget to bring them back for a long time, but we are getting good value out of our Rangers, even if they are, you know, getting cycle charged by the Hippogriffs. They have been able to use most of their ammo. I do bring these guys in here to try and catch these Royal Hippogriff Knights, but my opponent is smart, brings these men with shields to prevent their escape, or what's the word I'm looking for? Not bog down. To, whatever, their escape, to help them escape, when there's another word I'm looking for, to mask their escape? To cover their escape, whatever. Anyways, but they'll of course fall very quickly to the Rune Lord, and these Giant Slayers and everything else in here. I send the Giant Slayers in here to try and hit the Fey Enchantress, do some damage, but it doesn't really work. I mean, not like she has any armor in any case, but I do send these Giant Slayers to actually chase down these Peasant Bowmen, but then I realize that's not a good idea, because if we chase them off for too long, we're going to lose the battle, and I still have these guys coming in. Actually, it's not a good idea because I had these guys coming in, that's why I stopped. Meanwhile, I'm realizing this is not a good fight for us. We're just getting mucked in. We're not doing enough damage nearly quick enough. Better off to keep these guys safe. See, every time he lands, I immediately get my guys on him, but he just keeps cycle charging, which is the bane of dwarves, and very frustrating to deal with as a dwarf player. Meanwhile, we are just poking these guys down with the Master Engineer, but he's not doing as much damage as I was hoping he would. You know, he's doing a little bit of, he's, you know, taking off a little bit of damage each shot, but I don't know, I was hoping he would get a few model kills. The good thing is most of our quarrelers are almost out of ammo, so, I mean, it's not a good thing, but at least we've gotten full value out of them. We are chasing off all these units into the end of the battle, so edge of the battle rather, with these Longbeards, might as well. We're probably going to lose them because they're so far away, but they don't have that much health anyways, and they're not going to be too useful. Dwarf Warriors here are just going to do some damage to the Fey Enchantress and, you know, keep her pinned at least. Meanwhile, over here we have some brave Longbeards chasing off these Peasant Bowmen. I think the Peasant Bowmen are quite a bit faster. 33, 32, oh, so they're almost the same, oh no, 26. So they should be much faster, but I don't know, somehow we manage to catch them. I have no idea. Maybe the Longbeard effect, what's their vigor? Exhausted, winded, so they're, I don't understand how we came close to catching them, but we do several times, and I can't really decide what to do with them. Over here, they're just doing tons of damage and getting some kills on all our guys, and there's not a whole lot we can do about that. And there goes our final Dwarf Warriors. These Longbeards are also not long for this world because they're just going to get charged down by these Hippogriff Knights. I probably should just stop them from moving so they can get some of that charge defense against large. But this brave line is going to be massacred by these floating griffins. I guess flying griffins. They're just going to smack them up, and that'll be the end of these Longbeards. They're gonna flee. Across the rest of the battle, though, we just have our Master Engineer, a couple of both of our Slayer units, so of course are unbreakable. Our Rune Lord in decent health. He got hit by the Royal Hippogriffs and that did some damage. Master Engineer with a few more bullets left, just 7. I'm gonna have him try and poke down some damage here. On the other side, though, we have these Quarrelers, 20 of them. I'm gonna try and get these guys shot down because I know they can do damage to my Slayers. So I'm just gonna sacrifice them and try and hit the Bowman over here, and it doesn't really pay off. we don't get any damage done. He's going to kill both these units, so that's unfortunate. But I think we do get a lucky break here. I don't remember exactly where it happens, but so he's going to crush these Coralers. I sort of figured that. I'm going to move all my guys into the woods here. I probably could have worn her down with some Slayers, but I figured, meh, they'll just isolate us that way. Actually, in retrospect, that would have been a better move now to charge her with this whole army and just try and kill her. But instead, I move into the forest, gather up my rallied troops. Over here, my Longbeards, again, I don't know how they managed to catch them, but they did pull towards me. But we do manage to catch them. They stop here. We charge them. We get some good kills here. And actually, they will end up shattering, which is huge. Because we are, of course, going to lose these Longbeards. But that's a very good trade to get rid of all those bows. That could have done some serious damage to our Slayers. So meanwhile, I should have probably charged her. I could have caught her. I have all these units over here managed. But I figured, you know, let's go to the woods. It'll help us against the large. And that is pretty much what we're going to do. So over here, cleans up those Longbeards. I can move over here. We talk a bit. He tells me he used to watch the channel, so I was very happy to play a viewer. And he's a good player too, so this is a fun little battle, an interesting build. So yeah, I just move into the forest here, and I'm trying to spread all my units because I don't want to get fully hit by the suck-off effect of the Fae. So I'm just trying to spread them out so that wherever he charges with those Hippogriff Knights, they will be hit. And then meanwhile, we're gonna take some pot shots at them and do a little bit of damage. Actually, see how many shots do I have left. So one shot. How much health do they have? 3 at 13. Okay, so they have 38-13. So much damage to do. Fire! Come on, fire! Let's see if it even hits. Oh, so 38-13. So did about 150 damage, which isn't bad, I guess, considering he has a lot of ammo. That's not bad. 150 damage. Okay, so they're preparing for the last charge. The Fantastic, of course, is dangerous because if we blob up, they'll be able to get cycle charging in, and she'll be able to do damage with her suck-off effect. So I'm very cognizant of her. In fact, I send my Master Engineer, who is now out of ammo, to go and challenge her. Again, something else that's kind of strange is that he actually has worse melee stats than her. She has way better defense. I don't know. I guess he's not really a warrior, but you'd figure like a Master Engineer. I guess he's an engineer, so that's not such a big gripe. I take that back. That's not a big gripe. She comes in here trying to hit my Slayers, and I'm like, nah, lady. I'm going to send you against these Quarrelers and the Engineer and my Lord and just try and muck her up and pull all these things to the right, keep them away. She's going to take damage as she's running after us. Even these Giant Slayers are better to face her because I don't need the armor piercing against her. But yeah, we do end up sort of getting into a giant blob. He does try and mob this Engineer, but of course he gets flung about, which is good for us. But now she's stuck in here and there's no escape for her. So we're just doing tons of damage. I send my Dragon Slayers, or my Giant Slayers rather, into a valiant charge into these Hippogriff Knights, but yeah, the bounce bar is pretty even still, even though they've now pretty much lost the Fae Enchanter. She got punked pretty quickly. My opponent would have been probably better served by just, what is that going off? Nah, she had some ability going off. Would probably be better served to send her in and then kept these guys on her instead of trying to focus down the Engineer, but you know, everything in retrospect, right? Because keeping her alive for a long time in a blob would have been a better chance to win this game. In any case, he's trying to cycle charge in and out. But we're just going to be like, alright, forget it. We'll leave one Slayer here, and we'll send one Slayer to get rid of her. Make sure she's off the field. And meanwhile, our rallying troops are finally returning. They've been on a long run from over there on the other side of the battlefield. These Hippogriff Knights, of course, are getting bogged down pretty easily, considering they're fighting Giant Slayers, which are pretty much designed to kill things like Hippogriff Knights. And this unit's done. That unit flees. That one's almost dead. And my opponent calls it quits. So a good battle. A really fun one here against Schmel. As you can see, just huge damage output from these Royal Hippogriff Knights. Almost 200 kills, or sorry, over 200 kills rather. Let's do the math. That is 211 kills between the two of them. Pretty impressive on a dwarf army that consists of 900 kills. Yeah, so I guess that's not, you know, it's about over 20% of my army is pretty solid. The Fantastic herself has 74 kills. She must have gotten a Commodore Casadora that I didn't see. Meanwhile, my Runelord got 63 kills. Not too shabby. Master Ninja got 24. I probably should have took him on fire at will and just focused on these guys the whole game. In any case, these Trebuchets were a great pick. They were able to pretty much force me to move, which is something you always want to do to the dwarves if you can't get them to move. And a cost-effective way to deal with infantry as well. The Foot Squires are pretty good. They're going to smash up these Dwarf Warriors pretty good, but they're not going to do that well against Longbeards. Longbeards is just a very good pick against Bretonnia because of their charge defense against large, their shields, and their really good melee stats, not to mention their price. Of course, you can get the Great Weapon variants, which are probably also quite good. Yeah, you're probably actually better off getting the Great Weapon variants because they'll do more damage to Cav. They get that charge defense, and you're not too worried about the archers of the Bretonian army. only because they have so much armor and they don't have that much armor piercing. So yeah, probably better off to bring the Great Weapon variants next time. But anyways, I didn't mind this build. Master Engineer wasn't the greatest pick. You could probably, you could fit in like another 2 Dwarf Warriors or like 3 Miners for the price of him. He's very expensive. He's like 1,100, 1,200. If he was cheaper, I'd say sure, give him a chance at like 800, but 1,100, 1,200, he's just, especially with the abilities I brought with him. I only used 1 Fiery Ring of Thori because the battle was just so hectic I wasn't able to cast another. And my micro isn't great. Anyways, guys, thanks for watching. I hope this is one of many videos to come. As I said about the update to videos, I mean, I'll talk about another video, but yeah, I think I'm gonna try and take the channel a different direction, and hopefully get more videos out, and just trying to have a good time with you guys, because I miss the YouTube community. And you guys are a lot of fun, and I don't know, without you I feel empty. There's a YouTube-shaped hole in my heart, and only YouTube people can fill it. Anyways, all that being said, I bid you adieu.